Hello, YouTube friends. So I have an update on my macronutrient breakdown for you. I generally don't give out, I mean, it's irrelevant what my actual macros are compared to another person because, for example, I've gone through 3 different competition preps and a post-show, rebound, frankly, and then also after the third one, a successful post-show reverse diet. So my metabolism has been through a lot of different things, pair that with, being a student athlete and the metabolic conditioning I built up through that. Anyway, long story short, I firmly believe that, everyone's macros are their own deal, and that's why I generally don't talk about what my numbers are, what the actual numbers themselves are. But I can tell you that recently, it partially had to do with the holidays, and then it just kind of continued after that. I was not tracking really very much at all. I mean, sometimes I would put some things into MyFitnessPal, which is what I used to track, by the way. But for the most part, I was just kind of going off of what felt good and what I'm used to eating also. I mean, I'm pretty good about knowing what's in certain foods, so it wasn't like I was totally blind. But I really wasn't trying to hit a set number for each macro or anything like that. So I was just eating intuitively and it worked well. I, saw very few fluctuations from it, on the scale. Also in my measurements, I'm the same, if not smaller, actually. I think I am actually probably about a pound lighter now. And, that can be due to many things, but I think one of them is that when I was counting macros, I was eating, to hit certain numbers, and I'm not always as hungry as those numbers. So I should clarify, I'm not eating, I'm still eating quite a bit. And enough, obviously, especially with, my training schedule to fuel those. But when I don't have certain numbers to hit, I actually have the opposite problem that some people do, and I actually eat less than they are. So what was happening, and the biggest change that I noticed was that I do not eat as much protein as I write myself when I'm eating intuitively. So I think before, and I'm about to break my own rule and tell you how much I eat, but I think before I was eating about 130 grams of protein a day. I mean, give or take. I mean, depends on if I was eating higher or lower carb that day. There are a variety of factors, but I would say on just a general daily basis, it was about 130. And that was what I was aiming for when I had, macros written out. Then when I started eating intuitively, after a few of those days, I entered what I had eaten at the end of a day. I entered what I had eaten that day into MyFitnessPal and noticed that I was eating more like 100 grams. So, 30 grams less, which is pretty much like a whole meal's worth of protein. That's a pretty big difference, and I did try and kind of increase it the few days after that. But what I noticed was that I was eating, I wasn't necessarily filling it with that much more food, but my body just didn't crave a ton of protein. It didn't reject it either. When I was hitting my macros, that was also fine. But pretty much what I noticed was that when I just made myself, what I was feeling and what I thought made sense for what I was working out that day, I didn't include as much protein. So I've essentially, in order to keep my calories about the same, I've just filled it, a backup with a little bit more than 100. So maybe I'm more like 110, 115. I weigh 137 pounds, by the way. So just as a reference, which is why I was eating about 130 grams before. Anyway, long story short, I have kind of filled in a few of those calories from protein that I was previously getting with carbs and fats, and I have noticed almost zero change in the way I look aesthetically. I still feel fine. Physically, when I'm working out, everything seems to be going well. So I will keep you updated on that. Oh, and I also got blood work done recently, and it was 100% fine, in every single healthy range. Not anemic or anything like that. So feeling good. Never thought I would say that I would want to eat less protein because, to be honest, like when I was growing up and anytime anyone asked me what my favorite food is, I was like that weird kid that didn't say like pizza or something. I always said ribeye. So I don't dislike protein at all, but like I said, when I'm eating intuitively, it's just not what like I crave or anything like that. So I do need to, just be aware of that. Make sure I know that I'm still getting enough in, but just make sure that that doesn't change. I've been tracking a little bit more lately, but I feel really good when I'm eating intuitively, just because I do have so much experience with tracking that it's kind of second nature to know what's in what I'm eating anyway. And so I probably will stray a little bit away from tracking as much, just because, like I said, I haven't found a real difference, and it's just one less thing to have to, kind of worry about. So I'll keep you updated on that. So I thought I would also run through my February goals. I love when a month starts on a Monday. It doesn't have to, but it doesn't always just kind of make it feel like a fresh start in many ways. But yesterday I sat down like I do every month and I made my February goals, starting with being better about one of my January goals, which I told you guys was to get ready for the day every day, like, actually go through the process of getting ready and go through the, a routine every morning. I was definitely better about that, but every day I think is not realistic to say that I accomplished. So just going to continue with that one. Sometimes there are just those days where you just want to chill and not do anything with yourself. And I definitely had less of those than usual, but I would say that I still have that as an area to work on. Another one of my January goals was to do something new. I think it was do one thing new every month or something like that. In January, I got my wedding dress and I think that was pretty new. I mean, I had like a few things like that where it wasn't like something that I sought out to do. Like I needed to do it, as part of the wedding planning process, but I had so many new wedding things that happened that I just kind of chalked that one up to my January new things. I don't have anything specifically planned for February, so I'm gonna have to brainstorm and I'll get back to you guys on what February's new thing will be. Maybe it'll just come to me naturally, but I'm excited for that. Another new goal that I have, being more present while I'm doing other things. So essentially trying not to multitask all the time. I am a serious offender of constant multitasking. So if I'm a passenger in the car and John is driving, for example, I am checking emails. I am going through cleaning out my purse. I am, getting last minute things done that I didn't get to do before I left the house. Never just actually like chilling as a passenger, which I know you don't have to do all the time, and that's just one example. But I have noticed it, and like I'll go an entire 10-minute ride to wherever we're going, and I will have just worked the whole time, which yes is productive, and it's good for my business, but it's not necessarily good for like conversation. I'm a lot better about it, like, when we go out to eat and things like that, we're both really good about not doing that. I don't text or talk on the phone while I'm out to eat or on on date night or something like that. But for example, when we're both just sitting here watching, TV or a movie even, not in a theater, but just like sitting at home, since it's more of a relaxed atmosphere, I will take that as an opportunity to, check on things on my phone or on the computer or whatever. Even just sit here and cross things off my to-do list. I'll get up in the middle of whatever we're watching and go grab something else so that I can sit there and do it, things like that, where I'm definitely guilty of feeling like I need to do as much as I can at all times, instead of I'm gonna watch this show and it's 45 minutes long, so for that 45 minutes I'm gonna sit here and and maybe talk about what's going on in the show with whoever I'm watching it with, but I'm not going to sit here and work at the same time or respond to emails. That is what I usually do. I just automatically grab something else because I get anxious that I'm not doing enough. So I'm definitely guilty of that. So I'm going to try and multitask less, which I know is kind of funny for some people because they think it's like a very positive thing. It can be kind of disruptive to not necessarily relationships unless you're really not conversing with people ever, you know. But you know, it just, I don't know, it's not as good of a vibe. You don't feel as present. You don't feel like that time was really just spent with you and that person. Or frankly, how many of you have been on your phone, like texting or scrolling through your Instagram feed or something while you're also trying to watch a show, and all of a sudden you realize you have no idea what's going on in the show? Guilty, like super guilty. Not all the time, but like I have seriously had to rewind something because I realized that I just got super engulfed in whatever else, you know, the other activity that I'm doing at the same time, which is ridiculous. So that is number one on my February goals. Like I said, I'm better about it in certain aspects than others, like going out to eat, being in public or things like that. I'm a lot better about it when I'm at home, kind of in a more relaxed atmosphere. I take that as my opportunity to do too many things at once. Also slightly embarrassing and definitely needs to be a February goal. Look what's behind me on our porch. Yep. Need to get rid of that thing. We forget about it because we aren't out here all the time unless we take Bear out the back. Ugh. Anyway, it's probably like a fire hazard or something. So, need to get rid of that Christmas tree. So thanks for watching. Comment below if you want to let me know what your February goals are, or if you have similar goals, or if you have issues with multitasking like I do. I know you do. Don't hide from me. Oh, and Bear says, please subscribe. Right, Bear? No, she doesn't care. But please subscribe to my channel if you want to see more videos. And I will be seeing you very soon. Thanks for watching.